Jojopyun is arguably, one of the best mid laners in the West at the moment, and quite easily top three best laner in the West. He's recently moved to EU. This was his OPG kind of before he moved over, rank one. Absolutely smurfing it over in NA. Today we're going to be analyzing one of his recent VODs on his stream, but with an emphasis on certain elements of his play that the average player could at least attempt to incorporate into their own play. Now, the VOD we're going to be analyzing is very chaotic, a very difficult game that a lot of people would just simply give up and they wouldn't even really know how to begin winning. So we're going to be looking at the quality of his mid-game TP usage, quality of communication. This one's a really, really big one. Adaptability to chaos, valuing life mindset, and just raw teamfight execution. Now, joined with me today doing this little VOD review is AJ, who is a fellow NA Challenger player. He also versus Jojopyun in solo queue many, many times, and is a fellow MLA coach who has first-hand experience, versing Jojopyun on the NA ladder. So let's go ahead and get into the details. So diving straight in here, taking a look at the compositions. We're not really going to get into the comps holistically. Let's just, I guess very simply, take a look at the mid jungle 2v2 here. So AJ, you've played a lot of his here yourself. Is he is one of your most played? What really jumps out to you here as a mid jungle 2v2?
Yep. So the biggest thing I noticed, right, is that Galio is a champ that loves to push, right? He wants to push, he wants to get that prio, move the plays, and Elise is the same thing, right? Elise loves to dive, right? She loves to make plays in the side, especially early on into the game. And this Galio chose to take ignite. So what I'm looking at when I'm a Azir in this moment is okay, I want to avoid early game skirmishes because that's where Galio thrives. I want to try to keep my wave as shoved in as possible and have high quality pings so Galio and Elise can't sync up and go for dives in the side. All right, that would be my mindset.
Yeah, I love that. And there's a few like red flags there, man. The Ignite in
Yes.
combination with the Elise, in combination with it
Yes.
looks like potentially even secondary sudden impact potentially here with the
Mhm.
domination. We can expect a lot of heavy trading and a relatively fast-paced early game.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. Again, we're gonna play sound off. This is gonna be more about us commentating his play rather than the other way around. So already off the bat here, we're gonna see a lot of shoving, with the
Mhm.
offense's defense kind of strategy here. And one of the main reasons we chose this VOD as well for the audience is that this was a chaotic game, and it wasn't just like some super smooth sailing game where he's everything is sunshine and rainbows. It gets messy very quickly. So, AJ, this is a very stock standard way
Yeah.
of kind of navigating this matchup, right?
Yeah, so one thing I really want to highlight is the fact that how quick he is at getting that prio, right? Like he was very on top of the first wave before the first wave even came. And this is something that I don't see a lot of Azir players doing, right? Because people were thinking, oh, Azir's not really that strong early game, so I'm just gonna chill, sit back and farm. But you notice he's kind of using offense as defense here. He's establishing that prio ASAP with the auto attacks before the wave even kind of comes. So he can start to fight for prio against Galio, so Galio can't really get that priority. Right. So I think, yeah, that's pretty stock standard, but he's doing some small little things in terms of the wave management, the auto attacks to kind of give him that edge early on in the lane.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you don't really want to be giving Galio that level two first.
Yeah,
Exactly right. So he has got the map cover on. We're versing in Elise, so
yeah,
relatively high threat jungler, was worth noting. He does get a ward on the Raptors to try and maybe spot out Elise's initial clear here. He's definitively going to get that level two first, which is good to see. Pretty straightforward so far. Nice aggressive posturing here. Very nice high value cues from the Galio. And this is something that
yeah,
I've seen from good quality Galios is their aggressive E usage. In my opinion, it's actually probably one of the biggest differentiating factors for Galio laners. And that's just a really, really solid trade there from Galio. Using that offensive defense, trading back with the E, and it really caught Jojo kind of by surprise there. I remember
yeah,
even Voclays, holy shit, that did a lot of damage. So,
yeah,
Galio is not afraid to kind of heavy trade here, make the lane a little bit messy, which is exactly what he should be doing, right? Galio doesn't want to just sit back and relax. He needs to get in Azir's face and make the lane a little bit chaotic, especially given
yeah.
that he's paired with Elise.
And also, one thing I want to say is that, like, even though Jojopyun is a great player, he still makes mistakes, right? Like his spacing on the Galio E wasn't perfect there. He tried to walk into the Galio Q, ended up getting clipped. So, even for you guys watching, just because you're making a mistake, don't be too hard on yourself, right? Because as you can see here, even Jojopyun has made a mistake there with that trade. But
100%.
yeah, when it comes to the to the lane, Sure, he's gotten clipped by a few of these Qs, right? Sure, he's burned all of his pots, but the wave is in an okay spot, right? He's not fully pushed in, which is again, you don't want to get fully pushed in as an Azir. It's very hard to last out under turret. You're going to give Galio way too much prio. He's still kind of keeping the wave, not under the turret. So this wave is in a perfectly fine spot. He's perfectly fine to just sit
Yep.
back, relax, farm up, catch this wave, and he's fine.
Yep, exactly right. And so, yeah, he's on the bit of a back foot there. Not really too much we can do about that. Pings that
Yeah,
Galio is missing. Sees it as a bit of a reset window here, which I like. I mean, there's no way he's going to be able to get out that next wave. So, very decisive kind of reset here. Ends up going for double pots and no refill, which
yeah.
is interesting. Okay. So, Galio has stayed. Did Galio show that? Let me take a look. Yeah, Galio did stay. So Galio
Yep,
has not reset, and Galio doesn't have TP, which is worth noting.
yep.
So, as an Azir, how would you be thinking here, AJ? What would be at the top of your mental stack here?
Yeah, right now the top of my mental stack is number one, getting to my key spikes, right? Azir really wants level 6, level 7, ring 4 W, right? So you notice he didn't even bother even clicking a little bit to bot, right? He immediately was on that mid wave, keeping that nice, beautiful neutral mid wave, and just farming up, right? He's not panicking at the fact that Galio went bot. He's not doing anything crazy. He's just playing to his chance reference points right now. Relax, neutral wave, not too far up in the lane so he can get ganked by Galio, but not pushed in. So he does give Galio a chance to roam, right? This nice neutral wave.
Yep, exactly right. So he had complete understanding of where Elise
Yes.
was, so is able to kind of thwart that one off very easy, pretty straightforward. So we're in actually a pretty good position. Galio still hasn't reset. Wave's in a pretty convenient spot. We're going to be able to. We have a lot of flexibility with what we can do here. We can temporarily hold, or we could even kind of shove and make it awkward for Galio to reset and go for a second recall. So we'll see what Jojo does here. Bit of a shame that we have the map cover here. It'd be interesting to see what was going on top side there, but it looks like Ivan has just recalled, not contesting Elise on top side. So it looks like he's going for a bit of a slow build here. I'm
Yep.
assuming maybe even a slow build into another recall,
Hmm.
potentially.
Yep. And I think specifically because on Azir, you don't have the best wave clear. So you need to really time your base timings and your wave management with waves because the waves are going to help you push. So you notice he's very intentionally 2 wave or 3 wave crashing whenever he's pushing because he's using the minions to help him push because you're not playing like a Hui or a Syndra or a Victor that has that ton, like a lot of wave clear.
Yeah, so let's kind of deconstruct this. So
Yeah.
he's opted in for the slow build here, which is great.
Yep.
This also gives him a little bit of safety if Galio were to kind of trade into him, and he kind of notices that his Leon is hovering him here. So Leon is hovering in the area. So he kind of feels safe to kind of walk up a little bit here. He's done a really good job of stacking up his Conqueror. He's already got those 8 stacks of Conqueror here. Again, Leona and Ivan both in the area. Kept his Conqueror alive. So he's
Mhm.
automatically on those 12 stacks, which is also worth noting here as well. So done a very,
Yep.
very good job of that. And now, again, we should be looking for some sort of a potential shove into a reset. I mean, surprised he did. Yeah, I was going to say ping for assistance. So he did
Yep.
ping on the way to communicate with his team about his intention. He's in a bit of a pickle here. And welcome to solo queue. This is why we chose
Yeah.
this VOD. You guys are going to be in similar scenarios. You're playing a scaling oriented champion that can't do a lot. You're having to make do with your champion. It's just the reality.
Yep, and so very chaotic scenario. Unfortunately, his Ira didn't hover him early enough to get the wave in. So yeah, welcome to solo queue, guys. Right, you're playing a champ that's very weak early on to the game. They had numbers, right? We tried our best to communicate, right? It didn't turn out exactly what we wanted, right? And we ended up getting punished for it. And sometimes just you've got to accept that. Sometimes when you play solo queue, especially on the champ you're playing, there's just going to be a lot of shit that happens that you can facilitate but you can't fully control, right? And it's about adapting to the chaos and adapting to the game state you're in. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how he kind of adapts to this game state and how does he recover from a spot like this.
And I'll say one thing, I don't want to read too much into this, but when I actually
Yeah,
initially saw this here, I actually thought that he was intentionally willing to trade to give Jinx the kills. That's what I actually
yeah,
thought here. I don't know.
right,
We don't know, right? What he was
yeah,
thinking there. Maybe he just got caught off guard by the Ellis re-engage. We don't know, but I just thought it was interesting. So anyway, so Jinx doesn't get any of the kills. So we'll fast forward here. Now, one thing straight away, he recognizes that there's no way that Jinx is going to be able to shove and move bot in time. The wave's already crashing, so
yes,
he immediately deploys out of base. And one thing as we go through this VOD together, guys, that Jojo is very, very adept at, very good at, is identifying where to be on the map and his deployments in general, whether he's creatively TPing to the side or whether he is deploying mid for control. And this is a
Mhm.
common theme, a recurring theme within JoJo's mid game, especially. So I love this call, and I don't even want to skim over the details. Look at this. Notice how he goes, but and again, the quality of his communication, he makes it very clear to his team that he doesn't want Jinx to be here. He even pings Jinx back. He wants to be the one on bot wave. He doesn't want to share that
Yes.
XP. So again,
Yes.
another theme that you'll notice within JoJo's gameplay is his communication is, for the most part, extremely good. And that's actually not something that you hear a lot, mentioned when it comes to high level players.
Yes.
You think, oh, yeah, it's just the mechanics and their execution. And yes, we will get into that. His execution of team fights is exceptional and his mechanics are great. But yeah, communication, very, very undervalued skill.
Yeah, and I really want to tie everything back to Zero's reference points, right? You really want that farm, you want that CS. Notice how he's not constricting himself to the lane allocation. It's like, oh, I've got to be matching Galio, so I have to go mid and fuck bot, right? What he did was he realized, okay, Jinx is already mid. What's the most efficient thing we can do, according to my trans reference points, to get the most amount of farm, right? And that scenario was bot wave. So I was really, I wouldn't say creative, but really beautiful way to kind of
Mm.
maximize the farm across the board for all of his teammates. Right now, Jinx gets that all that mid farm, he gets that bot farm, and look at his CS. Right, despite all that early game shenanigans, he's sitting at 62 at 7 minutes. That's pretty damn good as in
Yeah.
his year, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, despite even dying and everything, yeah, he's still
Yeah,
farming really, really well. So
yeah,
it's still in an okay position. So it's a chaotic
yeah.
game, and it was always going to be a chaotic game with those champions involved. So
Hmm.
now we're starting to get to a point where we're starting to slowly become a relevant champion, right? We're level 7. We've got 4 points in our W. Not to say we're crazy spikes, or not, we've got Nashes or anything, but we're slowly getting through that kind of power trough here.
Hmm.
So Elise is actually 2-0. We've established vision on bot side, beautiful. And so now again, it's the same thing, isn't it, AJ? Offense is defense, trying to kind of
Yes.
keep this Galio at bay, try and
Yep.
space and avoid as many of those Qs as possible. And if we can kind of keep eyes on this Galio, and kind of keep a handle on him, prevent him
Yep.
from roaming, and at least ping where he's moving, that's going to be the way to go
Yep.
here. So looks like Elise is trying to go for a top dive here. He doesn't compensate, right? We're just
Yep.
staying in mid, keeping up our farm.
Mhm. Yep. And notice how quick he was with the pings. The second Galley moved to top side, immediate ping on the top side, right? This is again, like you said, something that's not talked about a lot. It's like his quality of pings actually influences the game a lot. It's like this invisible thing. You don't notice it, right? Because your team ends up like maybe surviving a play that they may have not survived, right? Because of his ping. So that's something I want you guys to really kind of focus on when you watch his gameplays. Like, look at how quick he is with his pings. Boom, he's going top. It's on my way ping to the top wave. Make it crystal clear to his entire team what his intention is.
So let's kind of deconstruct this one a little bit and go back here.
Yep.
So what ends up happening is there's a kind of like a split map scenario, right? So
Yep.
Elise is kind of diving topside, scoring with the Camille. Camille's getting zoned off a lot of farm, and in response, Ivan is contesting Dragon here. And so in his eyes, what he's trying to do is he's trying to shove and maybe give himself some
Yes.
adaptability here and maybe
Yep.
hover topside. So now
Yep.
he moves top with the intention, potentially to try and soak up that farm. He gets
Yep.
here and he realizes, it's probably a little bit hard for me to do that. Elise is
Yep.
covering. I can't go there. It is what it is. So now
Yep.
let's, I guess, get a bit of lay of the land here. So we see now
Hmm.
Camille getting denied a lot of farm and now not in a great scenario. Bot lane's not doing amazing. Elise is snowballing. It's not an easy game. Now,
Tough game.
the positive is that we do have that dragon in our back pocket, which is very, very, very
Stall the
good for
game.
us. Yeah, very good for stalling out the game, and we're farming really well. So not over by any means, but definitely not an easy game state. So again, let's take a look at this. On his way back to mid, look at what he does via communication here. Pings
Yep.
Galio flash, pings on the way, pings assistance on his jungler, makes it
Yep.
crystal clear. So then when he goes in, excellent execution, timing the R with the W, and now he's able to kind of play for this little gank here with his team. So again, no
And,
small feat.
yeah, and I think that is the culmination of everything that makes a good player an amazing player, right? Like if you think about it, he knows exactly as Zero's reference points. He's got that R, he's got that shuffle, right? He timed the mid laner's flash. He knows as in his ear, right, that you can punish somebody off of flash cooldown. Then he had beautiful quality pings, right? He realized his jungler was in the area. He's linked up with his support. That's basically everything you want to do as a mid. That right there is the beautiful play of what makes him such a good player. right? It doesn't seem that complicated when you
Mm.
isolate each individual thing, but it's that culmination of everything and everything he's thinking about, the mental stack you need to have to think about all those things that makes him amazing, right?
100%. And another small thing that we kind of skipped over, but like here,
Yeah.
it may seem small, but like he didn't compensate here. Like he
Yes.
had a hypothesis that he's like, okay, I
Yes.
might be able to quickly grab this farm. Saw the Elise and was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not risking it. Play's done. It's fine. Go back mid. Right? You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like he's just able to pivot on a dime like that.
Yes.
And that's one thing I really get from Jojo. He's so kind of like,
Free flow.
yeah, flow state, like
Yes.
his poise is
Yes.
incredibly impressive. So huge. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get the kill. I haven't got the kill, but still not bad for us. Now we're getting relatively close to our Nashers here.
Yep.
So it looks
Just
like
farm to Nashers.
yep, just farm. Get to our level 9 and Nashers where we're going to be nice and juicy.
Mhm.
So fast forward here, ends up recalling. Now we do have TP, not empowered yet. Commits to his recall. Not yet at Nashers. That's okay. Ends up getting the refill. Beautiful. Now, he has TP, chooses not
Mhm.
to use it here, conserving it obviously for the empowered TP for a, potential empowered TP later on. We're not really yet spikes. What's kind of going through your mind here, AJ, as a Azir?
Yeah, so I mean, right now my mindset would be I want to try to stall the game out until I get Nashers. Right, I'm very close to Nashers' farm until I get Nashers, and I actually really want to highlight that TP because it's something people can miss a lot. And this is I felt this playing against him. He's very good with understanding his TPs, right? So you notice I feel like most people might subconsciously TP to mid because like, oh, my TP's up. I'm kind of close to my item. I don't want to fight right now. Why would I hold my TP? I can just TP to mid. But what he's thinking is I can use my TP to kind of bypass the fact that my champ kind of gets shoved in. So maybe what I could do is push out a wave, base, get Nashers, and if a fight breaks out, then I can TP. So this is like that's really massive. I don't want to undersell that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of his biggest strengths, his ability to recognize how much value is he going to get in this TP in the next 1 to 2 minutes.
Mm. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that. So looks like Galio ends up committing to that roam. Bot lane
Yep.
end up dying. Again, no compensation. We just accept reality. We shove in the wave and do what we can here. So we do have that empowered TP. Let's see how he chooses to use it.
Yep. So right now my mindset would be just farm ass. I've noticed again efficiency, guys. He's immediately TPing bot. Why? Well, look at Jinx. She's dead. No one's gonna collect that bot wave. So he's willing to use this TP again for something high value, right? Like I was alluding to. Boom, beautiful TP usage. He gets basically an extra wave that you wouldn't have gotten if he TP'd to mid earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly right. And so you can tell he's on a mission. He knows that as a ZR, you really need to,
Yes.
you really need to get to your Nashers. You need to get to those key spikes.
Yep.
And so, Galio's creating a lot of chaos. Galio's roaming around the map. Galio's roaming bot, roaming top. A lot of shit is going on. He's staying poised, focused on what he needs to do here. So the map's kind of crumbling. There's all this stuff going on around the map, and he's just staying, again, really resolute here. So just whacking away at plates.
Yep, he just gets an Asher, which I believe is 1150 with his current amount of gold. So he just needs about one more wave, and he should have Nashers. So I'm expecting here he's going to shove out that wave and then base for Nashers.
Yep. So this is where a lot of people start to panic. They get themselves
Yes.
into these scenarios where there's like they're strong, but they just start to they let the pressure get to them. And if you're playing these sorts of champions, but I would say any champion, you got to have faith in your ability to
Yes.
kind of execute. And that's just the name of the game if you're going to play, these sorts of carries. So he ends up getting
Yes.
the base, or at least attempts to base. Ezra does a beautiful R there, unfortunately. Stays for another wave here because he can't afford to base, otherwise he's going to miss too much farm and lose plates.
Yep.
Stays for another wave here. Okay, so we'll see here if he commits to his recall. Looks like he was going to commit to his recall and then sees the Ezreal get a little bit too greedy here. So this is that, again, situational awareness, right? Sees that his team is hovering in the area. Wasn't planning on this. Very opportunistic play here, AJ. I don't want to overcomplicate it, right? Ezreal overstepped. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I think there's one thing that we should know is that if you notice, what he's kind of trying to do is sync up when he's on the map with the rest of his team. So I really want to highlight that because his base got canceled, right? And so, but he's pinging on my way looking for a play because his team is in the area, right? He wants to sync up with his team. He wants to be proactive with his team. So he's kind of, again, yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but he's kind of like, okay, my team's in the area. Let me look for a play. And then when they're all ready to go back and maybe Ivan goes to farm his camps, Leona's in mid wave, then he can kind of base and then redeploy, right?
Love it. So beautiful. And because he sees the enemy, top, Elisa's top again. So Camille's kind
Yep.
of getting screwed on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, well, screw it. Ezra's dead. Elisa's top side. I can actually, if my team's hovering me, I can afford to stick around a little bit longer and get a few plates here. So ends up sticking around, getting a few plates. We'll fast forward, ends up getting recall. So we're getting quite strong here, right? We've now got our Nashes, completed our tier 2 boots, approaching level 11. So, this game is not easy. We have no flash now for a while. So let's take a look at the game state. Top, to be honest, considering that Camille's kind of been traded off for the most part of
Yeah.
this game, has
Doing
actually
all
done a pretty good job
Yeah.
playing weak side. Jinx,
Yeah.
still definitely struggling a little bit. Elise quite strong. There's a lot of damage here. But the great thing is that, again, we're farming incredibly well. We're at 10 CS per minute right now, and we're on curve. So this is where we're in a bit of a downtime here, right, AJ? When we have no
Yeah.
no flash, we don't really want to be looking for a play here. We just want to be slowing things down and kind of trying to get to our at least buy time for our R. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, my mindset right now would be just relax. Let's farm up. Let's get the 2 items, right? Wait for Camille to kind of get some farm, get to her first item, and then we can potentially play something.
Yep, beautiful.
So it
Mm,
looks like Harold's up. So
mm,
it looks like the enemy team took Dragon. But you notice, guys, how he's not immediately going to Dragon, panicking the enemy team got Dragon, right? He's again sticking to his transference points. Azir's a 2 item spiking champion. Notice how even though the enemy team took Dragon, and most people think, okay, maybe we should go Herald. He's thinking, okay, I maybe just want to, catch the bot farm, hover around the river, right? See if something's happening, get that mid prio, and just relax, right? He's not
mm,
rushing anything. That's the important thing
mm.
to realize here.
Okay, there's actually some little details here. So
Yeah.
one thing that I don't want to do in this VOD is skip over these transition periods. So
Yes.
let's really see what he does in the nitty gritty here. So
Yep.
what ended up happening, if we go back here, while he's covering mid, Jinx was kind of wave clearing bot versus the Galio.
Yep.
And now Jinx started, her recall, and looks like the lane assignments are gonna kind of get swapped up here. So the enemy get Dragon. Now his initial intent was that he's gonna run immediately bot, but then he
Yes.
realizes, well, I have a bit of time, right? Yone's not going to
Yes.
get that wave in time, and I might as well hover mid and clear a bit of vision. So he's intentionally doing this knowing that he's not missing any farm because the bot wave's
Yes.
not crashed. So he might as well hover, create a little bit of threat there, create a bit of space for your team, then go back bot. So just a little detail there that,
Yeah.
really min-maxing his time in between the waves there.
Yeah, I think the thing that I want you guys to be looking for is that he's looking at where the location of the wave. That's the important bit. It's
Yes.
not about like going to the side and farming the side. It's about where is the wave? Am I actually losing minions in the side or not? If I'm not
Mm.
losing minions yet, I've got time to do something, right? If I am losing minions, then I got to go to defend, right?
Yep, exactly right. Beautiful. Ends up burning the Yone flash, which is huge. It
Yep.
looks like he's Ivan doing a very good job of hovering him in the side here. Lovely. And so, this is really nice play from Ivan, right? Ivan's just accepted reality that you've got win cons. Jinx has just lost the mid tower. She couldn't defend
Yep.
it. It is what it is. Elise is trying to come in. Galio's coming in. The Avengers arrive. So we'll take a look at this. Camille's also TP'd in.
Very good execution.
Incredibly good R here. So
R.
okay, so
Yeah.
there's a lot going on here. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's deconstruct this. So essentially what's happened here is that Ivan and Leona have realized that Jinx is, out of the game, right? And
Yeah.
Azir's the win con. So these guys have,
Yep.
have directed all of their attention towards helping and facilitating the Azir. Now,
Mhm.
as a result, we burnt that, Yone flash, so they think they can go for the quick dive. It's also worth noting that, remember, our Eddie carry is struggling in mid and isn't able to get
Yep.
control.
No
So
mid prio.
that we have no mid pro. So they're going to
Yep.
have first move off mid here.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and they're also going to lose mid tower. So we get the kill,
Yep.
but we know that we're going to get collapsed on here.
Hmm.
Okay. So he's doing what he can, finishes off the kill. Beautiful. So Camille also TPs in. So we're trying to do what we can. We're trying to fight our way out of this scenario. And then at this point, he realizes, okay, we're probably in the shit here. I'm going to try and do my best. And this is where the mechanical execution comes into play.
Yes.
Incredibly amazing R to peel from the Rakan. He does this multiple times in the game, by the way, and you'll see this in a lot of these
Yeah.
fights. And then realizes the play's over, instantaneously disengage. He just lets his team die. Look at that. He
Mhm.
literally sees his Camille in the middle, in the thick of it. He's like, screw that. I'm out. I'm the win
Yeah,
con. Screw you, Camille. I couldn't care less whether
yeah,
you live or die. And just gets the dips. Get the hell out of here.
yeah.
Again, I really love that play. So this is, welcome to solo queue. Shit happens. He got faced with a tricky situation, doesn't compensate, and then instantly get the hell out of here, reset, spend gold, boom, efficiency.
Yeah, and what I want to kind of highlight is what he's looking for when it comes to the micro, right?
Mm,
You have to remember that he wants to use his R to disengage, right? He look at his comp, right? You've got an Ivern. Remember, we're thinking about the 2v2, the jungler as well. You've got an Ivern. We want front to back. So you notice how he's not using his R proactively, aggressively for a shuffle. He's using his R to peel and disengage. So you guys got to remember that, especially when you're playing these flexible champions that can have multiple roles in a fight. It's important to kind of prime yourself ahead of time. Think about, okay, how do I want to actually use my abilities in these fights, right? And so again, the reason why that it looks so good there is because I think he was thinking that I need to kind of use my R as a peel and disengage tool, right? Especially because we had no mid prio. They have Rakan who's going to dive. I've got an Ivern, right? So he's thinking about all these things ahead of time before the play starts, and then his intuition kind of guides the micro from there.
Yeah, he knew that this was not a
Yes.
dive-oriented Azir game. He knows that this is more
Yes.
of a peel-oriented game because he's versing divers.
Yes.
So, let's take a look at this. So he pings his TP, pings his R, pings
Hmm.
Rift. So he's trying to, again, get his team aware of the situation. He does have that adaptability potentially to
Yep.
TP on top side in case something does happen here. Again, straight into the side lane where the waves needed to be
Yep.
attended.
I would also take note, right? The reason why he went bot right away instead of mid is because he has to respond to that wave on return, right? I really want to hammer home this idea of like, why is he deploying during these like kind of low state usages? Why is he deploying where, right? The first time around, he kind of halfway went to bot and then went mid because he realized he didn't have to respond to that bot wave, right? But now the difference is that this time around, he's got to get to that bot wave ASAP because he's going to lose those minions. So he's really keeping an eye out on the positioning of the wave, how much farm he's losing, right? And yeah, those are really the main things he's looking for.
Yep. And the reality is that the Jinx had already shoved out mid wave, right? So there's
Yes,
even if he were to
that
deploy
as well.
mid, I mean, his team is dead, so there's no point of him
Yeah,
actually trying to play for mid control, and there's
yeah,
no wave there. So he's going to get there. If he were to
exactly.
get there, he would just be sitting there twiddling his thumbs. There's no reason for him to deploy mid here. So
Yes,
it's always, again, adapting to the map state here.
yes.
So shoves this one all the way out. Now, the great thing about Azir in the side lane is that we do have access to our passive. Now, it looks like the enemy have just kind of completely traded sides of the map here.
Yep,
Rakan hovering that Yone. Camille dies again on top side. Ezra shoving out mid. And he sees Elise on top side. So he's hyper aware of now everyone on the map. He knows that no one
yep.
can really be here right now.
Mhm. Yep, nice thing about Azir is that he does have like the tower damage potential, right? Like compared to other mages, you actually do damage the towers really quick, so he's perfectly fine. Like, look at how I just
Make
want
the
to really take
trade.
note how poised and collected and not panicky he is, right? Most people would immediately be like, "Fuck, I need to defend mid, I need to defend top. We're losing the game." He's been like, "Okay, fine. You guys want to make a play top? My Jinx gets caught. I'm just gonna take bot turret,
He's just
right?" So
accepting reality. It's just
yeah, accepting
it's like
reality.
I can't do anything. My top died. Okay,
Yes,
well played. My Elisa's top side. Okay, this is my next best play. That's it.
yes.
This is my next best play. And that is so hard to do,
Hmm.
right? The poise required and the clarity of
Yes,
mind to make that decision is
yes,
it's just so much. It's so much easier said than done.
yeah,
So beautiful. Now they've taken the trade. They get mid tier two. They get top tier two. It is what it is. There's not really much we can do about that. But we get the tier
yep,
two on the back end, so we get a lot of gold from this. Izzy loves this. We can really streamline our journey to second item. So trying to hover around the tower here, utilize his
yep,
passive. Looks like the Yone ends up potentially kind of TPing down here. This one's very awkward because he's kind of fighting
yep,
away from his tower. So it was a bit of an
yeah,
awkward fight here. Tries to get out, ends up drawing a lot of pressure here. And I would actually argue that this is a completely fine death,
yeah. I
right?
agree.
Because you've already got the wave. You forced many, many people down, and you didn't even burn your flash. You just died, which was great. It's like, cool, we still have our flash, we've still got the wave. It is what it is. So that's a completely
Yeah.
fine death.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when in the main win card, he got so much isolated gold on himself
Mm.
there. So even though he died in hindsight, he overcommitted bot, knowing that he's going to get the bot tier two and get that
Yep.
700 gold at bot tier two, right?
Yep, exactly right. So again, let's do a bit of the lay of the land here. So
Hmm.
dragons coming up in a minute. Again, dragons not overly important. We can easily give that if we really wanted to.
Hmm.
Jinx still quite far behind. But we've got good scrapping, good team fighting with the Ivan. But as an Azir specifically, we're in a really good position.
Yes.
We've got our 2 items. We're really, really, really strong. We can fight. We're happy to fight.
Yeah, if you actually take a look at that low, so he's actually has the most items out of anyone in the game, despite everything that's happened in the side lane. With Camille getting weak side and Jing struggling, he's the strongest person in the game
Mm,
right now,
mm.
right? Because he kept his farm, putting a lot of focus on farm, right? Not dropping waves, getting that tier 2 bot, and it's gonna add up.
Yep, and I love how he doesn't TP bot here, by the way, guys. He knows that he needs that adaptability because Baron's going to
Yes.
be up soon, so he needs to have that TP ready to go if he wants to actually play the side lane here. So, he's willing to just sacrifice that tier 1. It is what it is. Give it, no big deal. And, now he has that, that adaptability. So, I actually want to talk about here about deploying mid versus bot here.
Yep.
So you could deploy mid. You could. I think it actually would actually have been okay, right? Because if you deploy mid,
Yeah.
you could potentially move in and maybe get a little bit of vision, then go bot.
Yeah.
I think maybe what he probably realized here is that his Ivan is like on Krugs on top side. He probably potentially, I'm assuming, felt like they wouldn't even really be able to kind of maintain that control anyway.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
I think also the biggest thing is that during that loss, I think you recognize we're not going to contest the neutrals anyway, right? You got to
Yeah.
remember that you want that mid prio when you want to be proactive and contest objectives. Right now, he's thinking, well, my team can't really contest anything. Camille's
Mm,
dead, like you said. Ivern is
mm,
top, right? I'm just going to go collect the bot
mm,
farm, and then I'll go mid when I actually want to start contesting things on the map, right? Right
mm,
now, he's kind of in the downtime, letting Jinx get items, wait for Ivern to redeploy on the map, and so I'm
mm,
expecting he's going to go mid once he's kind of ready and his team is ready to actually start to get prio and fight for things
mm.
with priority.
Okay, so let's deconstruct this. Where a lot of people start to
Yeah.
get very confused. How do I
Yes.
know where to be? Okay, so he
Yes.
catches the deep wave here.
Yes.
And then what happens is that he's looking at the map and he's saying, well, it's actually a little bit risky for me to go bot here because the enemy have
Yep.
move off mid. So he doesn't have his tower passive. So he's probably thinking, you know what, I probably can't get that wave. So you know what, I have to sack that wave, and now I've got to
Yep.
regroup mid to get
Yep.
control with my team. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to play the side. So now what he does is he maneuvers through his jungle to try and group mid and get get a bit of vision with his team. And he pings his passive and gets some camps on the way through here as well.
Yeah, and so one thing I want to, what you kind of said there that I want to kind of expand upon is that when you're playing a split pushing champion, it can be kind of counterintuitive at start, but to start, but you want to actually start with mid prio first before you go side, which people might not realize that, but it's like you need to get that mid prio in order to be able to actually play the side lane because
Yeah.
now your team gets control and vision in that area, so you actually push in deep.
Yep.
So this is kind of like side laning 101. It's like the key to side laning is actually that mid prio. So you're gonna notice you're gonna try to fight for mid prio, defend, play defensive, and then once he can actually establish mid prio, he can kind of end up getting into the side in the
Yep.
future.
So Jinx at base where he's like, all right, I'm going to try and wrestle back a bit of control
Yep.
here and, cover mid
Yep.
in the meantime. The lane assignments have kind of swapped up. It looks like Camille's now going bot.
Yep.
And so notice how this whole time he's just accepted reality. There's not really too much he can
Yeah.
do. And okay, so look at this, guys. Look at his communication here. Look at what he does. He actually just spam pings assistance on mid. He knows he needs to get his team mid because
Yes.
otherwise they're not going to be able to play the game. And this is what AJ was kind of mentioning before. If we're not
Yes.
able to group and actually get a bit of vision, then we're not going to be able to access these side lane waves.
Yes.
Because think about what happened before when Azir was down here. He couldn't move up and contest that wave because we had no vision. Right? They had no vision. We know we can't get that wave. So if you actually want to, like AJ was saying, unlock your side laning potential, you go
Yes.
mid first, we wrestle that control, then we get into the side lane. So he's trying to get his team excited about playing through mid and playing on mid wave. And look at the communication here. Spam ping assistance on that mid wave.
I really love the way he pings. So he's actually pinging literally the wave, like
The
the
wave.
minion on the wave. He's not even pinging like the
highlight
middle of
that.
the lane. He's literally pinging the actual minion. He's saying, "I want to play when this wave shows mid. I want you guys to be on mid, right?" So yeah, his pings are very, very direct, very, very specific, and they're great, phenomenal pings.
I love it. Okay, so now look at this. Now we've grouped up together. Galio's on top wave, so we're thinking, great. Now we can actually move into the river. We can actually get a little bit of vision, clear a little bit of vision. Great. Now it's a lot easier for us to move to the side because now we actually have that vision. So it looks like our team tries to go for a bit of a collapse onto the Galio here. So now, by the way, notice it's the other way around. Now we're the one hunting the people in the side lane. So let's look at this from Galio's perspective. Galio has now tried to, been like, okay, well, we're not grouped on mid. I'm shoving out top instead. And now because we're the ones, again, drawing on the minimap, we're the ones now getting off midway. We're the ones that have first move. We're the one kind of hunting. The
Yes.
hunter become the
Yeah.
hunters now. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
now we're the one hunting the Galio in the side lane. So we've gone for the bit of the pincer here.
Yeah, and I love what you said. It's literally just because we got mid prio. This play could never ever happen if we didn't get mid prio. Because if
Yeah.
they had mid prio, Galley would have all the vision in the world top side. They'd have all the control top side. No way we can make this play.
Mhm. Now we can actually shove out sides. So, okay, so now this one's interesting because the enemy have actually made a really good play, by the way. The enemy, instead of trying to respond to this, they just counter shoved mid, which is exactly what they should have done, right? So this is actually a really good play from them. So he uses his TP. By the way, I actually get asked this question a lot. Side note, like, how do I use your empowered TP as a mage?
Yes.
In the mid game, and one of my favorite ways to use it is what Jojopyun does a lot is think of it as like a band-aid solution to min max your farm. It's like,
Yes.
okay, the enemy have done a creative lane assignment, or that you've messed up your tempo, which that play onto the Gallo was a giant tempo sink, right?
Yes.
You use your TP to then fix waves and attend waves that you wouldn't otherwise be able to attend. So here he's
Yep.
realized, okay, well, the wave's about to crash. I can TP mid and I can, maybe defend this tower and bolster up my farm here. So again, using that TP kind of opportunistically as a bit of a unique solution. So that's that. That's the TP. Now let's look at the execution here. Again, we can't not talk about that. So Yone does butcher the R a little bit, kites back beautifully with the E. By the way, look at the hold on the R there. I just think that was just really, really beautiful. Just outplays it. So you cannot understate the value of his mechanical execution here. So just worth noting.
Right.
All right, so now we are just so strong. He's even. Oh wow, he actually just fat. I was going to say that's so. I love his. Look at his reaction to the camera. I actually didn't even see that. That's so funny. Okay, so again, look at this. Why is he going top here, guys? Camille's already shoving out mid-wave. He's already got that control. He knows that Ezreal and everyone is dead. So now it's about shoving out sides, trying to make someone react. So this is where we can actually, really get our tempo back.
Yeah.
So we'll fast forward. Here, lovely. Shoves out the side deep. Shove. So he does, look at this. He's pinging his R, pinging his flash, making it clear to his team that he doesn't have access to anything here. Does have his passive up though. So we are going to have that safety. It looks like Elise is kind of pathing on the bot side there.
Yep. And we did have a little bit of mid prio, so he has the ability to go top. Because of Camille pushing out mid, he has a small 10-15 second window to push out top before the enemy responds to the mid wave.
Yep. So he's trying to get that Zhonya's. He should be able to get Zhonya's after this wave, which is huge. Excellent. Okay, so looks like yeah. Okay, wow. Look at the pings. By the way,
Look at the ping.
Look at the pings. Yeah. He knows that. I mean, it's hard for us to comment on the map state because we have the map covered. But from I'm just trying to read between the lines here. He knows that he doesn't have flash. He knows that he doesn't have Zhonya's. He really wants to get that Zhonya's. Camille has no TP. And by the way, if we go back all the way here, look at this in this lull state here. In this lull state, he pings his. Look at this, and he pings Camille's TP. By the way.
Yeah.
Look at this. You'll see this in a second.
TP.
Yeah, he's hyper. He's using his lull stays to be thinking of, well, if my Camille goes bot, does Camille have adaptability here? So he knows that when the Baron is called, his team is calling for Baron. He moves over here and he instantaneously, pings back because he knows that Camille can't be here.
I mean,
there's just usage.
This again, I just really want to highlight. This is what makes a rank one player, right? His quality at paying, his lull state usage is perfect. But not only that, he recognizes the macro big picture. He had no mid prio at that play. He's off tempo because he's made that top play. He's got no flash, right? He doesn't have Zonia's / stopwatch. It was just he just hyper aware of everything he needs to do at every single specific moment.
And you know what the crazy thing is about all this stuff is that he's like listening to music on stream.
Yeah.
This guy's doing this on stream with music. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to do this. Like, I mean, maybe people do, but like, I think to have this quality of macro with the quality of micro, to be such a well-rounded player is something that I respect him so much for. Again, look at this. He pings back and then not only pings back, then pings his team where to go, right?
Midwave.
Good quality communication is not only about what not to do, but what to do instead. And he's pinging that midwave again, trying to
get his team excited for mid.
Exactly right. And now he's thinking, okay, cool. We get that mid control again. Let's try to shove out. Let's group up. And now he has Zhonya's. Look at this. Look at the pings.
Pinging on the wave, the next wave coming. That's right.
pinging it, making it ultra clear to his team about what they need to do here. And he's even trying to ping his
He's
team
trying to
to
get
go mid.
Ivan and Jinx to go mid as well.
Beautiful little WEQ there. Procs the passive on the tower here, so gives
Yep.
him some safety. He's trying to buy time for his Jinx to group here.
Yep. So what he's
See,
thinking is, I want to get Pry on the next wave. So he's going to play relax, slow, Rakan has no R. And he's playing, look at this. He's playing Almo. I want to play on this next wave coming.
okay, so we've covered the macro. Let's now talk a look at
Yep.
the micro and execution. So we mentioned before just a little bit, this is not a dive-oriented Azir game. This is a
Yep.
peel-oriented Azir game. Look at the way he plays this team fight, guys. Look at the patience with his R and look at the positioning. So I feel like a lot of Azirs, they'll go in with your WEQ and try to look for some crazy Azir sec. Just
Mhm.
auto, reposition, right? Reposition, hold. Wait for the Rakan to go in, then R.
Yep.
Look at that team fighting. That's basically flawless execution. There's basically
Yep.
nothing wrong with his execution here. Like
Yep. Everything
it's
was perfect.
everything's
He's
perfect.
hyper aware of everything. He knew that Galio had R's. He's not going to dive in. The Galio R. He knew that Yone could come from a flank. So he's holding his E. Look at how he held his E there. He held a soldier and an E to anticipate Yone coming from a flank, so he could WE away. Like that just shows what happens when you have freedom mental stack. You're hyper aware of everything you need to do, and just completely flawless, right?
And even he knows that Yona's going to R him. So look what he does here. So when he E's, right, he doesn't just turn it auto. He keeps walking because he knows that Yona's going to R,
Yeah.
right? And so as a result, it's just so clean here. So yeah, and now he's able to utilize that Zonya's on the back end. So yeah, so now they turn this into a that ace into a
Fair.
Baron. Pretty straightforward. Excellent. They try to finish off the Baron here. Nice little recall. And so we'll kind of skim through the rest of this. Now he's kind of done, he's done the hard yards now, right? So he's got himself
Yes.
into a position where he is, 3.5 items, incredibly fed. He's really stalled out the game. Now Jinx is starting to get some items. Camille's starting to get some items. He's got the Baron.
Yep.
And now we're in a much calmer and easier game state. So we'll just kind of skim forward here. They trade off the dragon,
Yep.
go straight back to the side lane. He's willing to take the trade. He knows he has Baron, so when we have Baron, we
Yep.
can make the enemy react. We don't need to react to them. They need to react to us. He does have his passive. He also has Zonya's coming up in 10 seconds. So he's not really scared at all. It's hard for us to really talk about the post macro lane assignments with the map cover, but typically,
Yeah.
as a general rule of thumb, you guys want to be playing 2 lanes, not 3 lanes. We are in a
Yes.
very awkward scenario here where Jinx is kind of messed up, so Jinx is now mid, so it is a bit awkward. We're looking to
Yep.
make it work here. Again, I don't think there's too much we can get into this. Maybe take a look at one more fight here. Rakan does an excellent flank.
Yep.
You see he's consistently using that Azir R for the Rakan, nearly
Yep.
exclusively. And now they can go for a bit of a siege. So, look, I think hopefully what we tried to get across, guys, in this in this VOD is how yes, Jojopyun does have immaculately good skirmishing and team fighting, and that cannot be understated. But it's all those little things. It's the
Yes.
communication about waves. It's the willingness to give objectives and trade things off. It's the adaptability to chaos. It is the clarity of, playing in accordance to your champ's, identity, understanding the win condition, and willingness to just take control. And I think a lot of you guys watching, we don't expect you. Me and AJ say this all the time in the MLA. We don't expect you to have perfect macro. But the key is that make a decision. A
Yes.
decision is better than no decision. And I see a lot of people, they get really overwhelmed and think, oh, I don't know what to do. Just make a decision. Whether you want
Yep.
to give that objective or fight it, call it. Doesn't matter how wrong that decision is. And the great
Mhm.
thing is, guys, if you're able to kind of emulate, at least just like a sliver of the amount of control that Jojopyun is taking here,
Mhm.
that way you can speed up your learning
Yes.
journey, because then you can get into the review. You can take a look at that dragon that you called for that didn't work out well. We can make sense of it. Otherwise, if you're just taking a back seat, you're just going with the flow, it's very difficult to actually improve upon your macro game. Any other comments here, AJ, about this one?
Yeah, just to add on, I think you're alluding to it, but it's like not only make a decision, make your own decision, right? Make sure it's because of what you want. Communicate what you want. You notice this entire game, not one time this game did he make a decision based on what someone else wanted, right? Not a single time, right? From the Baron, from the early game, from the bot plays, nothing, right? Every single decision was his own. Now, again, for you guys watching, not all your decisions might be as perfect as Jojopyun's, obviously, right? But the key is, like Curtis was saying, and like what I'm saying, make it your own. Own it. Own your own decision. The faster you own it, the faster you'll improve. The faster you'll have more confidence in your play. And then, right, Jojo had a ton of confidence in his play. The faster you can understand your chance reference points. And then, if you keep doing that time and time and time again, the culmination, you can get the similar results to what Jojo did here, right? Very similar.
100%. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little review. If you would like us to do more of these type of reviews, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you for another video soon. Cheers.